Hey guys, what's up? In our last video, we actually added the box shadow property to our list items within developer the developer tools, but we didn't add that in our code base. So here we have just basically added our box shadow property of 5 pixels, 5 pixels throughout. Okay, you can even decide to use 4 pixels. Okay, so now once you come within here to actually see that it's actually applied, you'll see here you have the box shadow property, and now to actually understand, you have like the x offset of 5 pixel, which is along the x-axis, um y offset of 5 pixel which is along the y axis, and the blur property you can always increase here too. Okay, so actually if you don't like for it to actually satisfy you. All right, so now you can even decide to give it 1 pixel, like depending on the way you want your content to actually apply. All right, you can reduce the blurrity and stuff like that. So that's basically it. All right, you can even like do that like negatively and all that. So that's basically how the new property we learned in the other video works. So now in this video we'll just basically build like build something, restructure this, let's call it a landing page, and now everything we do, we should actually do things semantically right. So now we'll get into our index.html. Here we have done a whole lot of things. Okay, we're just going to do a semantically right approach, and within our main element, we have a header already where you have welcome to the restaurant website. Okay, we have our header, then we have our main. Okay, within our main, I'll just decide to put, sorry, I'll just take this. All right, I'll put this here. A paragraph, put this here. Okay, what else? And now for this section, I can call this a section or footer. Okay, just to make things semantically right, put this in a footer. So now, okay, I'll put all this. Well, we can just say we have this structure for now, such we can actually differentiate between our main then our footer basically. All right, we have that, nothing actually changes. Okay, so now um, let's just add like a date here. Well, let's just highlight the, okay, for instance, if we want to highlight the owner of this source, there's one thing we call non-semantic inline element. So we're going to use it here to actually give this section a little bit of pretty. So once we actually highlight the fact that the owner is something really important. So I'm going to add a span element. Span element is also an inline element, but it's non-semantic. Okay. Now basically you'll not see any difference here, but with time when we're getting to the styling, we'll actually style this such that this owner maybe it could have a brighter color or something that will really stand out. Okay, so now that takes us to actually to non inline semantic elements and inline semantic elements. Okay, now if you check here, right, we have sorry, these are replaced element. Okay, so the non-inline semantic element we have here is the span, and now for you know that inline and the block elements. Now for block level elements we have the the non-semantic block level elements. Now, talking about the non-semantic block level elements is when we start talking about div, okay? Where, for example, instead of having this main, you can have a div, all right? Or you can just have, let's say, class. You have a div which can have a class of test. You can also have this here. You can have another div which has a class of main footer and stuff like that. So the div is a non-semantic block level element, okay? But now I always advise you, when you're building, you should always use a semantic approach. So I'll just undo this, undo this, undo this, undo this completely. Yeah, we have this semantic approach of doing things. So now that div is just basically like a divider of one section to another and stuff like that. So you can basically use that, but now I always recommend you use the semantic approach where necessary. Okay, so basically I want us to actually make this page to maybe look like a little bit better. Okay, so now we have our main here, and the main contains the h1, the paragraph, and the image. So let's see. Okay, within our share CSS, we don't have any main styling. Yeah, we have a main paragraph styling. So now I want us to actually work with this. So let's check our style here. We have a body of margin of 500 pixel. So I want us to actually start our main. Well, this body actually applies everywhere. I could add it here. Let's see. Yes, I think this box. Then within our style here, this is not needed. I think since we're working with our root page, we'll have our main, and within our main, since we have to actually fit all the content of the page, like from the top to bottom, I usually give it a width first of all. Let's see. So I want our whole page to have a particular width. Okay, all right. So now because we actually need to, let's see, I want us to structure this page in a way that our image can move to the top and everything sits into like a block, like a whole section on its own. So now what I'll do is I'll actually give like a distance from the top to the bottom such that it's going to sit well. But now let me first of all give my main a color to actually see what I'm working on. Let me see, background color of red. This is something. So this is the whole section I'm working on. Like I just gave that color so you actually see the whole section. But now if you check well, it does not actually sit like the top bottom, it does not actually sit it does not actually sit perfectly. Basically I want that image to not be here. We should go at the top first of all. Okay, yeah, let's see something. Okay, that's better. So I want all this to actually sit in the center. All right, so if you check note within this content, I want to give it, like for it to actually fit, you actually know, if you see here the CSS box mode that I've been talking about, right, the margin is where it actually occupies the space before I have the border and the padding and all. So that means I will surely give it a margin. Let's first see auto and see something. Now margin of auto does not really do the magic, okay, because it will not just select on its own. So since the whole page is like 800 pixel, for it to actually be sufficient, I could give it, let's see, I can give a top of, let me see, okay, I can increase the space here, but now that's just gone to the bottom. So I'm going to increase the bottom of maybe 72 pixels. Now 72 pixel, then I use auto flatter bottom. Now you can see that's actually fit to the page like in the way I want. I think this is a little bit better, except the color, which is a little bit wild. Okay, so now I would like to improve like the padding of my in section. You can give it a padding of 24 pixel. Okay, I think this looks better to an extent. What else can we do? I think we can increase the border radius, right? These are properties we have already seen. 9 pixel. I think that's too sharp. Let's say 8 pixel. Okay, now another thing I want us to look that we played in the previous video is box shadow property. Box shadow property of 1 pixel, maybe 2 pixel, offset x, y. Then we get to the color, which is opacity. 0, 0, 0, which is a dark variation. Then you have 0.3. Okay, I think this actually looks okay. But now that red color is really wild. Let's change that. The red color. Okay. Let's see if I have 219, 108, 94. You can literally use any color you want, but I think this looks better. Now, provided I want to, like, the goal of this basic challenge is I want us to move this image to maybe the center of this main section. Okay, so now there is one thing you should think of, like if the margin, there are positive margins, there's also what they call negative margins. So once the margin is positive, you can actually move negatives to the, like, move it negatively to actually increase more space. Okay, now for instance, if we give this section okay, we're going to do that for the image itself. Okay, let's see. It will give the image a margin of 30 pixel. Okay, you see the image actually pushes down and pushes all the content down too. Okay, but now if you give it a negative margin, let's say a negative margin here, you see what actually happens. It actually pushes the content up together with itself. So another thing you should take note is we can actually apply vertical margins to inline elements. Okay, we can also apply horizontal margins, and I've said that in one of the previous videos. If you took keen note of that, you actually note that it's very, very important for you to take note of all this. So now we have two different types of inline elements. Okay, now you see here from MDN, it says in CSS, a replace element is an element whose representation is outside the scope of CSS. Okay, so these are typical replace elements: iframe, video, embed, image. So IMG is actually a replace element. Okay, so now an example of a replace element is the image tag. Why is it replaced? Because, for instance, if you see this image, the root path is not actually here. It actually takes us to another link, like the image actually stored in another source. So that's what is called a replace element. But now A non-replace inline element is something like the anchor tag, okay, because it is there, like it is at the root. So now we can actually apply positive or negative margin. So now for this to actually fit in the way we want, I think negative 29 pixel, we could actually increase that. Let's say 20 pixel. No, we will surely give it the higher, better. Okay. In wanting the resolution of my, if yours is this way, you can basically reduce it like to the way you wish. Okay. So now you see the image has actually moved to the top. All right. So that's basically it. And now we know the overall height of our page that we gave was 200 pixels. Now for us to be able to come up with something that will actually suit this, right? For our image is already set. So taking into consideration that our height is 200 pixels for the whole page, and we have a border radius of 8, we can divide that to, like, let's say we divide it by 2, we'll end up with 100 and something. So let's try 134 and see what we have. Okay, that actually moves the content completely. I'll just try to increase my page and see something. Sorry, let's say increase it to, let's say 125%. So the image has actually been pushed. So now for our main content, I think this website needs a little bit of touching. For H1, here, okay, can reduce the font size. Oh, sorry, let's see 24 pixels. That doesn't really change on anything, so we'll just leave it for 8 pixels. But now let's see if we can increase the margin of 12 pixels. Alright, that doesn't actually affect anything. Let's see where this is coming from. We have our H1 which has a default color of that and that. Okay, the margin doesn't actually apply. Just leave it at 0. Okay, for H1, I think this description, let's set it to 0. Let's see what happens here. All right, so now I want a H1 within here. I'm just going to say 30 pixels. I don't think that actually applies. Let's see. H1 has it's not actually applying, but why is that? So within our full meal, oh sorry, our index our index.html, this is what we're actually working on. So it's within our shared CSS, our H1. Oh, this is where it's coming from. Let's see, margin 0. Okay, that actually works from here. So now increase the margin bottom. Let's see, So we'll add more. All right. So you can always use maybe positive or negative. Oh, but now the H1 is this, all right, which is moving, and the DTP is the owner, is a paragraph. Well, the paragraph now has let's see what the paragraph has. It has a margin top of this. Let's copy that out and see. Okay, no, there's some mix up within her styling, but nevertheless, let's just leave it as it is. Okay, so the welcome message here, we're just going to style that later. All right, so now if you see, it's actually pushing the contents together above. All right, so now for our main content, right, let's see where we actually start the main content here. It's actually okay within the style. Our main content, here it is. Our main content has no issue. All right, let's see what's actually happening here. Let's see this. Okay, so that's okay. All right, so now for our share CSS, right, I want us to, within our anchor tag, or first want us to make a H1 get a particular font size of 30 pixel, and to change its color something darker, I think. Okay, and another thing, we have a span element that's within the main content. So I want us to get a span. So we're going to get the span element and just give it color of, let's say, antique white, and see. So it basically highlights that. Within our image here, or H1 here actually is styled here. It has its own font size, and within our style here we have another H1. Okay, we don't have any other H1. So our H1 here has a font size of 30 pixel, and this. Another thing I want us to do for anchor tags, I think this is basically it. One other thing, let's see. It will display it as So I have a margin of 0 pixel. Okay, this is fine. Within our style, yeah, thing padding. Okay, so I think for image we'll have a width of this and a height of that. So if let's try removing our height and see, it actually shrinks our image. Okay, I think the border radius, let's see how it looks like. So basically that's what I really wanted us to cover in this video, to be able to have a better feeling of the page. And you should note that once this increases, it actually pushes together the content of this and the image itself. Okay, now let's maybe use 49 and see how it looks like. It pushes the image content, but now let's say if you want to center it, let's say 89, like you may want this to be this way. And now maybe like here you have this, you may give it a specialized styling depending on what you want to do, since the H1 is hovering on that. Okay, so now what else could we do for this H1 which is within the main? Let's see. Okay, all right. So now this does not actually pick the H1. I'll just give it a class. Okay, and within that I'll come here, it does not actually change, but either way that's how negative margins work. And yeah, I think that's it for this video. All right, so don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Bye bye for now.